To see her is to love her, and love but her forever. For nature made her what she is, and never made another. Good evening, gentlemen, lassies. I'd like to thank Robin and Sandy for this honor tonight as I address you all and give you, for the first time, my toast to the lassies. I've watched a great many of you gentlemen here give the same toast in years past, some in prose like Robert Burns himself, some in iambic pentameter like Robert Van Winkle, some heartfelt and personal, some funny and witty, but every year I have the exact same thought, and that is, boy, I'm glad I don't have that bastard's job tonight. Of course, it was bound to fall to me sometime, and so to any of you who have not had the honor of addressing this distinguished group of guests, consider yourself warned. You may be in my same position next year. So, I like to do my research before taking up the mantle of carrying on such a great tradition as the one we're celebrating here tonight. It seems that the Burns Supper has been going on quite a long time. The first one was held in memoriam of his death just 5 years after his passing, in July of 1801. So taking part in this tradition that's almost 220 years old is quite an honor and a heavy responsibility. I'm happy to toast the lassies because, as they say, behind every good man is a great woman rolling her eyes. Trying to write prose like Burns is no small task. I was trying to find out who were considered some of the best poets of any and all time. And Robert Burns is very much in the running, right up there at the top. In the Harvard Classics, which is sold as it's a complete liberal arts education in 5 feet of books, Burns has an entire volume dedicated to his poetry and song. There's even some argument as to who is a better poet, Robert Burns or William the Bard Shakespeare. Scholars have tried comparing the two, and one interesting comparison, it took a short verse from both of the men that had a similarity and a simple beauty to both of them. It's an odd similarity, but the poems both contain the word Timbuktu. So here's the 2 verses. You can compare them and listen to them. They're interesting. They're different. So listen to their elegance. Shakespeare wrote, "As I was walking across the sand, and what a day it was so grand. The sea was green, the sky was blue. I saw a ship sail off to Timbuktu." Now, Robert Burns had another take. "As Tim and I awoke and went, we spied 5 lassies by a tent. As they be 5 and us be 2, I bucked 3 and Tim bucked 2. I wanted to make sure to cast the right approach to the toast, so I went to the BBC's website. They've got a lot of information on the Burns Supper. The BBC's website says this about my job tonight. It's the humorous highlight of any Burns night, and it comes at the toast, which is designed to praise the role of women in the world today. And this should be done by selective quotations from Burns' work and should build towards a positive note. So I'll try to balance gallantry and farce without being too boorish or crude, though I still might come off like an arse in this age of #MeToo. But the haggis is what brought us here tonight. And what better symbol to enlight as we toast to the lassies and sing their praise. As gents, we prepare our glasses to be raised. Lungs, heart, and liver is what makes our feast, ground up from some gentle beast. These organs are so visceral, I think to make them analogous is certainly permissible. For each of the organs spring to life when our lassies are about. Each one springs forth from ourselves when our feelings are devout. Lungs, for the lassies take our breath away. We cannot hardly breathe, but our lungs are there to save us and give us some reprieve. Their scent is sweet and beautiful as it passes through our nose, but the lungs absorb the oxygen, which is handy, I suppose. What had Burns to say on breath? He spoke of it in some depth. I found his poem in my library, titled "My Girl, She Is Airy." My girl, she is airy, she's buxom and gay. Her breath is as sweet as the blossoms in May. The touch of her lips, it ravishes quite. She's always good-natured, good-humored, and free. She dances, she glances, and smiles with a glee. Her eyes are the lightning of joy and delight, her slender neck, her handsome waist, her hair well buckled, her stays well laced. And the heart. The heart is a metaphor, should not confuse. If anything, it's overused. But whether our heart be still or bounds from our chest, I think anyone who's felt it will attest. The heart is felt maybe the most, so I included it in this toast. When the lassies are about, the thump of our heart beats out. They make our blood flow hot and fast. In this rhythm, our love's fate is cast. Burns knew a thing or two about affairs of the heart. He wrote sweet with no malice when he penned Bonnie Peggy Allison. And by thy means, say Bonnie Blue, I swear I'm thine forever. And on thy lips I seal thy vow, and break it I shall never owe. Now the liver might be more of a twist. How did the lassies to this organ enlist? No one ever said, follow your liver, the thought of which makes me quiver. Absence makes the liver grow fonder. Now this advice I'd have to ponder. Wear your liver on your sleeve? That's a metaphor misconceived. So maybe the liver won't make sense, but I'd offer this one defense. Because if you take a moment to stop and think, you'll see the lassies sometimes cause us to drink. Whether to muster up the courage for the first hello, or just to feel that fourth drink's afterglow. A romantic evening with a bottle of wine, or drinking alone while we solemnly pine. The lassies inspire us to indulge, and if too much, our livers may bulge. Whether celebratory or in regret, some scotch or beer has graced our palate, and the reason why is afoot, there's usually a lassie at the root. This is not to cast on them the blame. We own our own actions, I'll proclaim. But the liver and the lassies are intertwined. To this concept I am resigned. What more can I say about the booze? I'll defer to Sir Robert, and myself I recuse. Because it was written so very succinct in his poem, Scotch Drink. O thou, my muse, good old Scotch drink, whether thou wimpling worms thou jink, or rich brown realm o'er the brink, in glorious fame, inspire me till I lisp a wink. To sing thy name, old Scotch drink. Now, Burns loved the lassies, and by all account they loved him back. And in Sir Robert's day, apparently it took just a poem to get them in the sack. But in today's world of more equality, as we study our sociology, our heroes are women, I think you'll see, be it Pelosi or Christine Blasey Ford or RGB. The women are saving our society, I hope you would agree. They've not been allowed their proper seat. For all recorded history, Eve was framed at that apple tree, and if they've tolerated us to this degree shows a level of superiority, and I'm not speaking hyperbolically. I mean, look at this presidency, of toxic masculinity. I think the blue wave of 2018 is a wake-up and a call to patriarchy. And just listen to Illinois or ALC, and hold on to your hats as we proceed, because around the corner is 2020, and beneath the waves is the entire sea, and it's pink, not blue. Thank God Almighty. Not that I put stock in any deity, but if I did, it'd be a her and not a he. So, I think my time is more than spent. A simple toast was my intent. To women, I will yield the floor to you, but let me say this before I'm through. Let's raise our glasses and toast to the women in our lives. Our mothers, sisters, bosses, politicians, CEOs, writers, inventors, doctors, scientists, co-workers, friends, and wives. And women, please raise your glasses too, for I drink to you, and please, you drink to you too.